Hey, students of Avenue Christian Church, it is Pastor Dan here. It is your Monday update. All the great things going on around our ministry, plus a little overview of what we talked about yesterday in case you were for some reason not here. Coming up this Wednesday night, a few days from now, we have our fun food night for middle schooler. This Wednesday night is Snack Attack night. We are bringing our favorite snacks to share. 5th to 8th graders, bring a friend, bring a snack, and at the end of the night, we're going to have a gigantic snack buffet of all the great snacks that you brought along. And also coming up, the beginning of this month, we have our two big monthly events. Middle school and high school, we're doing something called Party on the Patio. For our middle schoolers, separate from our high schoolers, we're doing a silly string and shaving cream night while we enjoy some hot dogs and s'mores over the fire pits. We have some crazy games going on, some giveaways. So bring a friend for a chance to win a prize, 5th to 8th graders. And for our high schoolers, a little more chill night for us, but we are doing a fun night, Party on the Patio for us, but this time we're doing paintballs. We have throwable paintballs, believe it or not, for us at the end of the night, plus some other fun activities, events, food, of course, s'mores, hot dogs, just a great time to bring a friend, especially someone who's never been to church or hasn't been back to church in a while. We love doing these events because it gives us an opportunity to connect with people that we don't know or we haven't seen in a while. So make sure you mark your calendar, look at your calendar right now, and make sure you are coming out to our Parties on the Patio the first Wednesday of the month for our 5th to 8th graders, the second Sunday of the month for our high schoolers, and we will see you out. Make sure you also grab a calendar of all the events we have going on all year long. So if you were not around yesterday, we continued our series called Flipping the House. Last week we started talking about this idea. I don't know about you, but my wife loves watching house flipping shows. Maybe your mom or your dad watches those at home. And these shows where people just walk into an old beat up place and then try to figure out what it used to look like and flip the house, put it back to what it used to be, what it used to resemble a long time ago. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about God's house, the church. What does it look like for us to walk in and to see church the way it used to be? Looking into the Bible, looking in the book of Acts, the early church, what does the church look like then and what does it look like now? And what are the things that we need to make sure we remember and we return to as we claim the church for ourselves? We've used some key words. We use this idea of reclaim, that we get to have the opportunity as young people to walk in and say, no, this is not just my mom's church, my dad's church, this is my church, and I want to reclaim it. And as we do that, we begin to kind of understand that we need to do some things that really begin to really restore it, to bring it back to where it needs to be. And then we also want to revive it. We want a church that is living and active and exciting. And that's the opportunity we have as this generation to come up and say, you know what, we're going to bring life and we're going to keep life going in our church and the churches we attend and we end up becoming members of in the future as we get older. But finally, we want to make sure that we are restoring church, that we're bringing church back to what it needs to be. And that's why we're taking this time to study these passages together, because we want to get back to understanding church the way it should be, and it is. Just really unpacking this idea, because the word church has got kind of skewed and kind of misunderstood. So we spent some time yesterday just talking about the name, the word church. I mean, is it a group of people? Is it a building? Is it a service? Is it something you attend? Is it something you are? And we just started spending some time together saying, wait, church needs to get back to the original meaning for us to understand and really truly flip it back to what God has. So we talked about this word, EKKLESIA. It's this Greek word, old school Greek. The Bible was written in Greek and Hebrew. The New Testament is written in Greek. 114 times when we hear the word church, it's actually the Greek word ekklesia, which means a group of people who are called out and assembled, a called out assembly. So imagine you're sitting in your math class and suddenly this loudspeaker goes off. Your principal says, 9th graders, please head over to the auditorium for an assembly. What you're doing is you're being called out from what you're doing to a separate location to reassemble together with all of the people that belong there and to hear a message. Here's some kind of thing, but also for a purpose. That's who we are as a church. We are a called out group of people assembled together to hear a message and to be on purpose together. We have this opportunity, and that's what Christ has done. When he died on the cross, he rose back from the dead, and then began to reestablish this thing called church. It's a group of people who are separated from the world in order to believe and to follow and to become something different, holy and separate, and set apart in order to do what God has called us to do, which is what we talked about last week, is this idea of mission. That last week we talked about the idea of there's a value in gathering and unity. Why? Because we have a purpose, we have a mission as a group of people. And that's what we did yesterday as we talked about this name. The Bible, actually in 1 Peter chapter 2, uses 7 different names, 7 different descriptions of this idea of church. As we look at those things, we realize that the first thing is this idea that we are a living stones, that we have a cornerstone, the kind of the foundation of who we are is Jesus Christ. But then we connect to that stone and we become a living building. Each one of us is another brick, another stone in Christ's big church. He also talked to us about this idea of being priest, holy priesthood. That we kind of think there's some other religions around us that have priests, and why don't we have priests? Because Christ, when he died on the cross, ripped the curtain in half and allowed us access to the Holy of Holies to come directly to God. We don't need to go to someone else for confession. We don't need to go to someone else for a sacrifice. We don't need to go to someone else to do the things that Christ has asked us to do. The thing we talked about is this idea of a spiritual house. That we are coming together, built together, and we're the church. We don't just attend church, but we are now the church. We're a living, breathing house. We're a living, breathing church. When we walk out of this building, after we've been refreshed and renewed, we walk back out into our world. We are active, living, breathing churches, walking around, hanging out. We're just church wherever we go. The second half of the passage, we talked about this idea of being these amazing people that are chosen by God. That God has said, I want you to be special. I want you to do something in the world. And in doing that, the Bible uses the priesthood again. It talks about being a royal priesthood. Something we're now in service of a king. We're the king's priests. So in our world, not only are we serving God and serving others, we're now bringing this up saying, you know what, we're doing something special because we're part of a royal line of people. We are connected to God as his sons and his daughters doing his work. We also talked about this idea of a holy nation and a special possession. You know, we love America. This is not about anti-America, pro-America. This is simply saying we are a nation of people, that it's not just Avenue Christian Church is the only church. We are connected to churches all around the country and all around the world. We're now a holy nation. There's a group of people all over the world connected to Christ's church. And then the thing is, Jesus Christ is described as a holy possession. He loves the fact that we come together and we are his church. We are a special possession of him. And it's all about the grace and the peace and the love that we can show by not just attending church, but being the church every single week, every single day, walking around our world, living, breathing, active churches wherever we go. And that's what happens is when we begin to understand that the idea, the name of church continues to become a whole new thing. It flips around. Something we're not just going once a week, we're living it every single day. Hopefully you come and join us this Sunday night as we continue to talk about this idea of church. As the church to go out and to be on mission. That's a big part of what we want to talk about the next couple weeks. So don't miss out. Come out, hang out with us Sunday mornings and Sunday nights. We will see you there.